The Audi RS7 C8 4-litre V8 twin turbo. The cheapest one you can buy on the market right now is around about 60 to 65,000 pounds. I don't want to spend that. So I've gone and bought one for 40,000 pounds. Bit of a problem though, it's broken. And obviously for it to be that cheap, it's got to have a big problem with it. I actually bought this car directly from BCA as a trade sale and a non-runner from Volkswagen Financial Services. Only done 33,000 miles. These are the pictures that I bid on it from BCA itself. So we can see the car looks okay damage-wise, nothing really to note. It just doesn't have any ignition and it doesn't run. But the rest of the car, it looks good. Now, as I said, the cheapest ones for sale are £61,000, but they have no spec. This one is quite high spec. So it's going to be worth around £65,000, which means we have around £20,000 to get this thing put back to working properly. Can we do it? So I'm straight away kind of confident that it's got a genuine background. It's come from an Audi dealer. It's had a fault. They've obviously cancelled the finance and the finance company have sent it to BCA to be sold with a fault. So I'm kind of happy about the background of the car. But obviously for it to be sold at BCA as a non-runner, the problem's got to be pretty bad. Now, as you saw, it said it was a non-runner, but it did also say engine overheating, coolant issues. So it may still run. We don't know. I have straight away found that we have a broken engine cover, which is quite annoying. But where is the coolant bottle on this? Was it there? There's a gap. Where's the coolant bottle? Don't tell me it's under here or something stupid, is it? Surely not. How do I get in here? Where's the coolant bottle? Right, that just pulled forward. Right, aha. Right, here's the coolant bottle. And yeah, don't know if you can see in there, but it's pretty empty. So we've definitely got a... Oh, the lid's not on all the way either. So we've definitely got a cooling problem and looks like someone's already been here before. So, if it's a coolant issue, maybe it still runs. So let's just jump inside and have a look. I think the car's probably going to be flat. Yeah, let me just get the key out of here. Right, there we go. Completely dead, no power. Gearbox is in neutral, so that's good. That means hopefully we don't have a gearbox issue. Right, let me go get a jump pack. 33,581 miles. Yeah, that's what it says up there. Right, let's jump in. Ooh. Oh, it smells nice. So, having a little nosy around here, there is some... Oh, there's some personal information. What we got here? What's this? I'm just going to make sure there's nothing personal in it at the minute. Oh, install specialist adjustable height suspension upgrade. Okay, well, it's been lowered, and that cost a lot. What else we got here? There's a camber thingy for that. So this is interesting. Carried out checks for overheating, coolant light on dash, fault memory check, found an engine temp sensor faulty, replace temp sensor and recharge cooling system, raise fault memory, carry out road test, all okay. So that's interesting. It looks like it's had this coolant issue then for a while. Maybe someone has tried to fix it, thought it was a temp sensor, and that hasn't fixed the problem. So that is actually quite interesting. So I've got that as well, that's good. So the question is, oh, and I've got this as well, spot on. Do we just try and start it? I'm kind of hopeful that it's just going to start. Now it's all looking quite good so far. We've kind of building a nice picture of how this car got to here. The only concerning thing is the last place it went to before it was then declared not fixable and then sent to BCA, or did the owner just get fed up with trying to fix it, spent money on it, problem didn't fix itself, and he's then rung up the finance company and just rejected the car under the finance agreement? That may have been the case as well. But either way, I think the car isn't going to get any worse if we try and start it, in my opinion. So I reckon, see if it is a coolant issue and the engine still runs fine. Oh, I hate this bit, but I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to press start. Oh, it runs. It runs. Is it misfiring? Engine lights on. I don't know. Oh my God, I can't believe it runs. I did not expect it to run. It's got a misfire. It sounds alright, other than a misfire though. Ah. Very smoky. Very smoky. Very, let's turn it off. Very smoky. Oh. Yeah, that smells, oh, I don't know, you know. I think it is oil. Right, I'm not 100% sure how I feel about that. It runs, didn't expect it to, very smoky, bit of a misfire. So I've just plugged in the code reader and managed to get the ECU up, and we have quite a lot of faults. Petrol particulate filter, pressure, performance, just says performance, ESP implausible signal, yeah, that's battery, right, random multiple misfire detected, cylinder 6, misfire, cylinder 5, cylinder 7, engine start performance, exhaust pressure control valve, coolant pump stuck, now that could be something, and then general mechanical performance, yeah, that pretty much sums it up. So we've got a lot of fault codes. Now before I do push it into the workshop, I am just going to have a little nosy and see what I can see anything obvious. So on the newer engines, we've got something called a hot V, and that basically means the inlet and the exhaust have been swapped around from previous generations. So now we have the turbo and the exhaust manifolds inside the V and the inlet on the outside, whereas before they used to be the other way around. So I can't really see anything obvious here. I'm going to undo these intakes to see if I can just see any oil being dragged up, or maybe leaking turbo seals or something like that. Straight away there's some oil in it, in this bank by the looks of it. Let's just get this off. Right, just spin it round. Can we see, sitting in there, look, nice bit of oil, look. So that's not great, not a good start. I've elected for a tow. I've got the Fiat hooked up, so I'm hoping this is going to work. Yeah, all good. Yeah, got some steering, and we have movement. Now, when we had the car running, it looked more like water that was smoking out the exhaust, and it was mainly only out of the left bank. So that's going to be our target side, I reckon. But we need to try and find out why there's so much water going into the cylinders, because that's probably the source of our coolant leak. Turbo feels fine. No free play. Seems to spin fine. Because we can see from the air filter here, look, the oil has been back feeding and dripping into the air filter. So both turbos seem absolutely fine. There's no free play at all. I can't actually see any oil past this point here. So I believe that the oil has been coming in from the top of the rocker cover through the PCV valve here, and then dripping into the inlet here. So at the minute, we either have a PCV valve failure or possible increased combustion pressures, or it might just be normal. So for now, I think what I'm going to do is try and take out the spark plugs, do a compression test, because that's really going to tell us how we're going to basically go on from here, whether the engine needs to come out or whether we may be able to fix it without taking the engine out. So let's get a pressure reading across all 8 cylinders. I'll find out what they should be. Fingers crossed, they're all good. So now we need to remove all the wiring on top of the coil pack so we can get our spark plugs out. But it seems the newer vehicle I work on, the harder and harder it is to access basic things like spark plugs. So please explain to me why they feel the need to make them a multi-spline now. What's wrong with the 6-sided one that they've been for many decades? But the tip looks okay, to be fair. Doesn't look damaged or anything like that. So let's get 6 and 7 out. There you go, fine. Bit wet. Little bit wet on the tip of this one. Smells a bit petrol-y. So now I'm just going to head on to Audi's Irwin portal, which anyone can actually do. Just log on to Audi, you can put the details of the car in. You have to pay, it's about £7 for an hour, but then you can look at all the workshop manuals and everything for your car. So I'm just going to go on, I'm going to find out where the fuel pump fuse is so we can take that out, so we can turn it over, and then I'm also going to find what the compression bar should be for these cylinders. So Irwin has told me where the fuel pump fuse is, just inside the passenger door, 30 amp. I've just removed that, and I've just popped off the coil packs, the plugs to the coil packs on the other bank as well, so therefore we should definitely not have any starting. And I'll put a picture up now. Our compression pressures should be between 10.5 and 15.5 bar, and the limit being 8.5 as a minimum. So we're going to start with cylinder 5, 6 and 7, kind of get a point with that. We'll do the rest, and then we should have a sort of an idea of where we'll be going next. Cylinder 5 is 14.5 bar, so that's good. No, looking all right. So that's 13.5 bar. So it's all right. That one is a bit lower, but it's still 11 bar. So it does say the maximum difference between cylinders should be 3 bar, and obviously now that's 3.5 bar. So there may be an issue. I might just try and run that one again. Yeah, no, it has come up. It is now 11.5 bar, but also my battery jump pack is starting to die a little bit as well, so that may be a part in it. So we don't need to sit here and watch me do all 8 cylinders compression testing, so I'm going to skip ahead here and do the rest of the 8, and we're going to head to the board and compare our results. So the compression test all now done, and they're all pretty much 14 bar there or thereabouts. The only one that's sticking out is number 7 at 11.5 bar. Now, although this is still within spec, it is bordering the excessive difference, because you're only allowed 3 bar between cylinders, and obviously we've got just over 3 bar between 1 and 7. So it's where I'm going to start, because I think that's where the problem is going to lie. So next up, I'm just going to get a borescope, stick it down the bore of number 7, and see if we can see anything. So we're going to start off with cylinder 7, because that seems to be our only cylinder that has a potential issue, and we're just going to stick the borescope down there now, and we can see something concerning. That we've got a little puddle of water right on top of the piston, and the piston just seems wet in general, which isn't a very good sign at all. That could lead to something like a cracked block, or maybe even a head gasket. Now, I've just put stills up of all the other cylinders as well on that bank, and they all seem to also be a little bit wet, but the compressions were fine and there are no puddles. So it seems our water leak is because there is water leaking into cylinder 7, and that's why it was smoking quite heavily when we had it idling a little bit earlier on in the video. That was just the coolant or the water burning off. So it looks like the engine and gearbox has definitely got to come out, because we've got to take the heads off and try and work out where there's water, or why there's water leaking into cylinder 7. So it looks like we're taking the engine and gearbox out, the RS7. I'm not too bothered, because I kind of assumed I would be anyway, so it is what it is. But it is quite annoying, because this is a 2020 car. It's 4 years old. It's only done 33,000 miles, and it's had a major engine failure. Now, I wish there was just more warranty on these engines. But good news is, on Compete for Cars at the minute, guys, we have a brand new Audi SQ5, and I actually put a 4-year factory warranty on that, so you wouldn't actually have this issue. It'd be going back to the dealer to be repaired for free. So guys, click the link in the description, go over to Compete for Cars and grab your tickets to win a brand new Audi SQ5. There's also an Audi A7 which has a brand new engine in it, and we've also got a Cupra Leon 1.5 TSI, and also a complete rebuild car of your choice. So there's 4 competitions, guys. The A7 and the SQ5 end tonight at 9 PM, and the live draw is tonight at 10 PM. So go grab your tickets, guys, and I'll see you at the live draw at 10 PM. Let's take an engine out. Assuming assuming that wasn't coolant. Cannot confirm. Now I'm just going to remove this intake pipe just to see if there is any signs of water or coolant that's been in the intake. I don't know. Very, very crusty, which is weird, but... So I can't find any evidence of any coolant leaks going into the... I'm pretty sure these aren't... I can't fully see because there's just so much going on, but I'm pretty sure these aren't even coolant fed. Anyway, I think they're just standard intercoolers, no coolant going into them, so all good. There's just a little bit of oil dropping into this one from the PCV. It looks like our problem that we saw earlier on the air filter. So happy that there's no issue there. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and now take the engine out, and we need to remove this big plastic thing here because it sits behind the engine, so we can't drop that down. And to get rid of this, we're going to have to take off the front bumper, it looks like. So I may just end up just taking off the front end so we can pull the engine down and out. But anyway, front bumper off, we'll crack on, and we'll see how we go. Now, as I just mentioned, the lock carrier kind of hooks under the sump, which means we need to remove the front bumper and the lock carrier to be able to drop the engine and subframe through the bottom. Now, I only had a short amount of time to do this job, so I've elected to hire some help for the day, and we have Greg helping me, so massive thanks to Greg for helping me out. And we did spend about an hour kind of sitting there working the best way possible to remove this engine because neither of us worked on such a new vehicle before. And once we kind of elected that it's probably best to separate the engine from the gearbox because we can remove the downpipes from the V, it gives us a lot of access at the top of the bell housing to remove the gearbox bolts, and that means we don't have to remove the suspension, the drive shafts, the exhaust, the prop shaft, so it kind of makes sense, and that is what we did. There's nothing stopping us from going up, is there?
No.
Right, if I just pull this.
I think we're out now, that's it, yeah, we're there.
Double check.
Yep.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
Because that sensor and cable's all disconnected.
We're all good. Woo! Right, we have finally got there. Now, you may have seen on camera that I don't actually have a body double. I've actually got Greg helping me. He's just in his van at the moment. So thank you to Greg for coming to assist. But yeah, we got the engine out. It was actually so much easier getting it out without taking the gearbox off, because normally you would take the gearbox off along with the subframe, suspension and everything, like I did with most of the cars, including the A7 that I just did as well. But there's just so much going on with this engine and all the electronics. We had to take the lock carrier off at the front anyway because part of it was hooked under the sump here. So we had to take that off anyway, and then it just made sense to disconnect it. Luckily, the downpipes come out the turbos, they go down here, either side of the gearbox. So it actually gave us quite a lot of room at the top here, which enabled us to remove all the bolts quite easily. So yeah, it took us, what, four hours? We've got it all out from start to finish, so happy with that. So that's that done, and also it means we can push the car outside now quite easily without having to bolt all the subframe back up as well. So now we've got cylinder 7 we need to inspect. So next up, it's going to be taking the head off this bank, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we have a head gasket problem. That would explain why we've lost sort of a couple of bar of pressure, not too much. All the other cylinders are fine, and you can actually see evidence, let me just get my torch. You can actually see evidence of water on the turbine there as well, and if you look at this side, look, it's completely dry. So that does obviously tell us that water has been coming out of cylinder 7 through the turbos and out the exhaust that you saw when we got the car running at the beginning of the video. So yeah, next stop, we're going to get the RS7 out the workshop because we've got to get the Hurricane in ready for Monday, and then after that we'll start taking the head off. So with the RS7 now out the workshop, we can turn our attention to the engine and the left-hand side bank. Cylinder 7, so now we need to take off the head, which is obviously a lot more accessible now the engine's out, and we need to start with this weird foam cover. I'm really hoping I can take the timing chains off the back of the engine here without having to remove the big timing chain cover. We will see, but yeah, I'm just going to again, put it on another time lapse, starts just stripping everything off the top of the engine. I haven't worked on one of these before, so I don't know what I need to remove, but I'm just going to start removing layers until the cylinder head can come off. So, yeah. So now I need to remove the high pressure fuel rail, the foam padding, and all the injectors to be able to start taking the cylinder head off. I've just removed number 7. I have worked out a way to do it. There is a bit of probably a special tool that you need to stick under here and here, and then lever it out, but I'm kind of doing the same thing, but just without the tool. I use a couple of lever bars. I'm definitely leaning more towards a head gasket now because there's obviously water in the oil as well a little bit. Little oil control valves. A little bit milky with relative ease. So we can, there we go, like that. Now I need to remove at least one turbo, so I have just put the engine down on a couple of tyres, so I can just, because obviously our engine crane was holding the heads, which was holding the whole engine up. So I think I can just remove the turbo from the exhaust manifold with a clamp. Ah, there it is there. So maybe I'll just do that, but we've still got to unplumb the turbo. So that's going to be fun. Now, luckily, this turbo is just held onto the exhaust manifold with a clamp, so we can just remove that clamp, and then it's just the coolant and oil feed and return pipes we need to remove from the V, and then the whole turbo can just pull up. I'm now having to undo head bolts with a 3/8 ratchet because for some stupid reason again, you need multi-spline and I don't have a 1/2 inch 13mm multi-spline. So I'm a 3/8 ratchet trying to undo head bolts, which is fun. Actually not as tight as I thought they'd be. Oh, I had to say that, didn't I? Oh, incredible. Can't undo that one. Oh, why'd I have to say that? Right. Got them all undone eventually. Everything clear? I mean, it don't look great, does it? But kind of here, possibly. I'm not 100% sure. The whole thing don't look great. So that is the head now off, and as we can see, we got our shiny cylinder 7 where most of the water was. Don't worry about that, that has just dropped into there when I was taking off the head. But yeah, first signs, it does look to be like a head gasket possibly. We have got some burn marks at the top of the bore there, and if we have a look at the head gasket, I can kind of see signs of combustion. Look, this is cylinder 7 here. And if we look over, look, the other ones are nice and clean, haven't been tampered with, but you can just see where it looks to have failed. You can see possibly burn marks. So I'm leaning towards a head gasket at the moment. We can see a bit more burn marks this side, look, whereas you go along the other side, look, they're fairly clean. So I am leaning towards it. But my only real confusion at the moment is why there's so much water, or any water at all, look, in the inlet manifold. There's quite a lot in there, and I can't really work out why. Now, first of all, I thought, oh, I've been done over here. I've bought a flooded engine and go through that rigmarole again. But it is only in the left-hand bank. The other side, there's no water at all in it, which doesn't align with a flood damaged. So I need to really work out, we need to work out why there's water in the inlet, if it's definitely head gasket, and see if there's any cracks in the block or anything like that, and just go from there. So I thought I'd just jump in there because we've got a lot of testing to do to find out why the head gasket went. We need to check probably the other bank as well. And I've been speaking to Ricky at RE Performance about the whole thing, and we kind of agreed, yeah, the other bank needs to come off as well. It needs to be fully checked because there's been water in the oil as well. Now, it also got me thinking, I'm just going to give the engine to Ricky to rebuild because, if I'm honest, I really want to watch him rebuild my engine. It'd be quite nice to be on the other side of things for once. And so the engine is going to go down to Ricky at RE Performance. He's going to strip it down, assess to see if there's any further damage. He's then going to build it back up with new head gaskets, if that's what it is, and then give the engine back to me. So guys, I don't know when the video will be, but on his channel soon, there will be a full strip down and rebuild of my RS7 engine. And so I will see you in the next video when we're going to put it back in the car. So yeah. See you soon. So that is going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you did enjoy this video of the strip down of the Audi RS7. If you want to see more videos like this, please do subscribe. Remember to go grab your tickets for the cars that are going today at 9 p.m. The next video will actually be the Hurricane. We're coming in here to take, again, the engine and gearbox out. So as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, guys.